Hello and welcome to another GMAC Café Flicker, this time brought to you by Than's Youth Film Festival. As you might have guessed from the little intro there, Fans are running the event today and dealing with all the tech, so big round of applause to them. You can find out more about Fans through their social media channels, and we'll post links to them in GMAC's social media as well. So because Fans are taking over, this is called Meet Your Maker. And rather than having 6 or 7 short films, we've got a smaller event tonight where we're going to show 3 short films. Some have already screened at Flickr, some haven't. We hope you enjoy them, but we're going to play the films one after the other, and then we can jump to Q&As at the end. So please come in with all your comments, questions, and I'll make sure the filmmakers answer them. Thanks. Bye.
Good evening, and this is the news from the Empire. Prime Senator General Harley announced this evening that the convoy sent to the outer reaches have indeed been killed in battle. Prime Senator General released a short statement on the matter today, while also confirming that zones 8 through 16 still remain under enemy control. The latest broadcast by the Prime Senator General we are pleased to report that current raids are being lifted all over the nation. Zones 8 through 16 and the off-island sectors have now all been liberated. Further command post reallocations will take place this evening. Prime Senator General Harley will now address the nations of the planet and the outer reaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you now in the aftermath of a time of war. A time where we were brought together as a single galactic authority against a deadly force of invasion. I refuse to pen a speech about our victory today, for we have won our battle, and that is all there is to say. We are liberated.
Breakfast ready? Good morning, handsome.
Good morning, is it?
You okay?
No, I'm far from okay. I'm sure you know why.
No, not really. Bad sleep.
Bad sleep? No, I slept like a baby. Probably for the last time.
Oh, what's up? I can't help you if you don't tell me.
Are you really telling me you've got no idea why I'm upset? I mean, did you think I wouldn't find it?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Totally clueless. Find what?
This.
This is why you're upset. I can explain it's not.
No, I can explain, whore.
What?
You heard me. You're a whore.
You better not be serious. In fact, you better be joking.
Can you see me laughing? So whose is it?
What?
Well, it isn't mine. You haven't let me touch you in months.
You can't actually think I would cheat on you. I love you. I thought you loved me.
I did. I just want to know whose it is. It's him, isn't it? That Ross. I should have known. Always over you like a rash.
Really? I don't know how many times I can say this. Ross is and always has been gay. We went to his wedding, for God's sake.
Well, if it isn't him, it's somebody else. For all I know, it could be any one of a number of people.
Screw you.
My friends are right about you. They said you were no good. Just a frosty bitch. A cold-hearted skank who can't keep her legs closed.
Well, it's good to know what you really think about me.
You've only got yourself to blame. I just want to know whose it is.
Okay, I'll tell you what you want to know. I have a few questions first, but once I'm finished, we're over.
Questions?
Yes, who was here last night?
What does it matter?
It matters. Who was here last night?
Donna!
And who's been trying for a baby for 6 months?
Donna.
That's right. Donna. The baby's Donna's and her husband Dave's. Does that answer your question?
I'm so sorry. I just didn't think. I was angry. I didn't mean it.
What? That I'm a whore or a skank or that you love me?
I do love you.
Well, clearly not enough. You've managed to ruin a 3-year relationship in a matter of 3 minutes.
I'm so sorry. We can fix this.
No. It's done. I can't see past this. This belongs to you. But this is my house and I want you out by tonight.
I'm sorry, but I've accidentally scratched the front of your car. My eyesight's not what it used to be. My number is 0756.
Hi Billy, my name's Alan. You left a note on my car today about the scratch.
Oh goodness, oh hi Alan. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I've just never been that good at reversing.
Yeah, well, it's quite an expensive paint. You probably saw it's a Mercedes and
I'm sure it must have been an expensive motor.
it wasn't cheap, so yeah, I was thinking around 150. I should cover it.
150?
Well, yeah, I'll need a professional to do it. If you'd rather swap insurance.
Oh, don't involve the insurance.
Good. Feel free to send the money then.
Through the post?
No, digital banking.
I don't.
Okay, Why don't you just text me your address and I'll come round tomorrow?
If you'd prefer that.
Yeah, I would. Okay, great. See you then.
Take care. Alan? Oh, hi. Come in. Come in. Cheers. Just go into the living room.
Oh, okay.
Come in. Come in. Make yourself at home.
Right.
Settle down there. Now, how do you like your tea? The kettle's boiled.
I prefer coffee, just
Oh.
milk.
No bother,
Thanks.
no bother. I apologise if I looked a wee bit surprised when I opened the door. I'll be honest, I didn't expect somebody as young to be driving a car like that.
Yeah, I got it last year for my birthday.
A car for your birthday? When I was your age, I was lucky if I got a corned beef sandwich with a candle in it. Your old man must think a lot of you.
Well, I pay the petrol money, so.
There's your tea, son, just as you like it. Oh, here, talking about old men, did you hear about the dad who was washing the car with his son? His son eventually said to him, "Dad, would you not be better using a sponge?" Have you heard it before?
No, it was really well told. So about the money.
Oh, aye, the money. Well, I didn't want to say this to you on the phone, but I haven't got that kind of money, son. In fact, I haven't got anything. I've used all my money, my savings, the lot. I've been living off my pension and with the bills, and I've always earned my keep. Now here I am asking for a handout off a 20-year-old. I'm sorry. I've worked hard all my days. I've never asked for anything. Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Maybe I can come back another time.
Oh, no, son. You sit down. I'm really sorry. It's just been such a hard year. My wife with hospital bills and
It's all right.
it's been a nightmare, the whole thing, the hospital bills and I'm sorry, son. I'm really sorry.
Fine. I'm sorry about your wife. How did she pass?
Oh, she didn't pass away. She's upstairs.
Well, best be off. What's done?
Oh dear, you've dropped your tea. Don't worry, I'll clear it up. I think my wife might like to see you before you leave. She doesn't speak anymore, but I think she'd still like to see you. Last year, she was knocked down by a hit-and-run driver. It was a miracle she survived. She was such a lovely woman. She's no lovely now. She's unrecognisable. I look after her now. You know, the police said that she was hit with such force that the driver must have been drunk. They never caught anybody. But then I never told them that I saw the car. A big, black, fancy Mercedes. And I never told them because I decided that I was going to deal with it in my own way. That was about a year ago. Just about the time of your birthday. Don't you worry about your nice big fancy car. I'm going to give you both a good penny.
Hello, it's me again. Can we get a big round of applause for the filmmakers who were willing to show their films and also get interrogated by me after it? Please don't leave it just me with all the questions. Thank you, Jackie. There's one coming in already. Please get your questions, your statements, and all that jazz in so it's not just me. If we could bring the filmmakers up on screen, I'm going to start the interrogation. So I'm just going to kind of go round you one at a time first, but I'm just going to start with the comments that are coming in. Jackie says, connection keeps crashing, we'll watch it online when it's reposted. Okay, thanks Jackie, sorry about that. Jack Fox says the scratch was absolutely brilliant. Talk about suspenseful, so well done Kris. I'm going to have a random one for you first. Can you tell me exactly where you came up with your production company names? Harvey, do you want to go first?
Yes, I shall. Mine's is probably the easiest. So me and my co-producer Jodie, her sick name's Gilchrist, so I'm Perrie Gilchrist, PG. There you go. Thought it sounded a bit better than GP. Maybe one of a doctor's surgery or anything like that. So with the wee film relation there. So aye, that's ours.
Cool. Alastair?
Well, mine's family related, so my mum's maiden name was Cunningham, so Cunning is Sly, Ham is Bacon, Sly Bacon.
Nice. And Kris?
We came up with ours when we were in McDonald's. That's where we do all of our best thinking. We were just we couldn't come up with anything, and then I think it was it's the guy who edits most of our stuff, Christopher Stewart. I think he offhandedly said something like, "Oh, what if there was a little man in that cup?" I don't know. It just made us laugh, and then we just stuck with it.
Are you sure it was McDonald's just went in there? Sounds.
Yeah, who needs a Starbucks when you can still get McDonald's for like £1 coffees? I agree. Harvey, How did you get the shot that looks like the camera's mounted to the car? And by the way, I keep looking to my left because that's where my notes and questions are. So.
That's it took us a wee while, so that was a lot of driving around Lanarkshire countryside, which is very dilapidated, as you can see. We got some nice end of the world shots. That's just Lanarkshire. So basically, that was me hanging out the window of a car, a bit unsafe, but we weren't on a main road, anything like that. So I sort of had my camera on like a kind of tripod, and then I just sort of positioned myself to kind of get that shot in the mirror, so I wasn't like actually hanging out the car. So it was quite. I'm
now getting like images from Hereditary, but I won't say any more than that for those that haven't seen it. And Alastair, how far in advance did you take the photos that are in the photo album?
I think it was about a week, 2 weeks max.
Yeah, because it's always a nightmare when you realise that you need photos on the day that you forgot to get like beforehand, or maybe that's.
No, we're well prepared. It was done in the one day, so we basically just went out, and we just drove around different places, just so we had something to do. I think we took more than that, but some of them just didn't work. So
yeah,
go to bits and printing them all off.
Nice. And Kris, I was just wondering, like, where do you come up with like the stories? Because I've seen like now a few of your films as well, and like for instance, the creator of Rab C. Nisbet, he says that he just people watches and then like comes up with ideas for like what he sees in front of him, basically when he's in certain rooms and certain maybe McDonald's and stuff like that. How about you?
I read this great thing by Stephen King once, and he said that it's not necessarily a writer's job to come up with great stories. It's more of our job to recognize when they appear. Mm-hmm. And with The Scratch, it was literally, it was during lockdown last year, and I was staying at my girlfriend's, and I literally got a note on my car. Someone had scratched my car outside, and like there wasn't really any damage or anything. Like I looked at it and I thought, oh, there's not really anything there. And it was like a lovely note, and there was no issue. But then I just kind of then thought, oh, what if somebody was just using that as a way to lure me in?
Yeah.
And that was it really, because they gave their details and everything like that. And I thought this could be anyone. It could literally be anyone. That was it really. And then you just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of like extrapolate it from there.
Yeah, no, it worked really well. And it is like everyday situations like that where like somebody comes out the supermarket and finds a note in a card, and you could probably see that happen to someone, then wonder yourself where the rest of that story goes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think you just want to start things kind of, pretty normal, and then you kind of like unfold it. I think it's true of like any story that you're doing, even the other two short films that we're showing. I think they kind of start fairly sort of like, oh, like this seems fairly normal. You just start with like a radio playing or something, and then you reveal, oh, actually, it's the end of the world, or something. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. So. Harvey, obviously your film is very isolated, and I just wondered how it was releasing something so isolated during like this isolation when like streets are empty. So you've released that for people watching, and then that person can go to work the next day and walk down Buchanan Street, which is empty. So how does that feel? Was that a lot of inspiration? Were you going out walks and seeing just these empty streets? Can you talk a bit about that?
Definitely. I think that's kind of good to hear, because that was the kind of theme that I was really going around, try to hit on. And it's something we're all kind of experiencing just now, and especially more so back then. So it was kind of holding up a mirror to what was happening just now. And it was definitely quite strange, because I've done some other stuff during lockdown, just like things, of myself, and I've always tried to kind of inspire some kind of hope or joy. So it was kind of weird. You feel like a kind of pressure to be happy and be joyous, especially in this time. But sometimes you do need to tell a kind of bit more of a gritty, realistic story. So I'm just pleased, that been able to show it at things like this, and at other Café Flicker and fans events as well. And it's just been great sort of getting it out there. And I'm really glad that people have kind of picked that up, kind of themes of isolation as well.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of it is what people are feeling as well. So it's good to try and express that on screen.
Definitely.
Alastair, I know yours wasn't shot during lockdown. It wasn't that far before that, though, was it? If that even was a sentence. But how would you go about attempting to shoot that during lockdown? No pressure.
Don't know. Have a screen in the middle of the table, I suppose you'd, or
Yeah.
get the actors to live with each other for a couple of months or a couple of weeks.
Sure.
Yeah, I just don't. It's quite hard. That's why I've not really tried to do anything. So I'm trying to write stuff. So I've got a couple of half-written ideas and some full-written scripts that I'll happily do once we're back to some sort of normality when we can go outside and film or mingle in film. But I don't think I know people are doing it and they can do it, but I don't really want to I'd rather stay safe and keep my cast and crew safe as well. So that's why I've not really done much.
Yeah, I mean, I've done one thing, and I just wrote masks into the script. So that's as close as I got.
And then, like Harvey, I won't go in front of a camera, so
true.
Which is another reason why I've not done anything in the house either, because I don't really want to do that. So,
yeah,
like yourself, watch stay behind the camera.
Thanks. Well, I'm not getting a choice right now, and neither are you. So, a few comments have come in saying, I really enjoyed the films, fantastic work all round. Loved the scratch, really enjoyed Kris's work. We'll be working with Ronnie again. Will he be working with Ronnie again? So, Kris, will you be working with Ronnie again?
Yes. Yeah, I'll always work with Ronnie because we're good friends and he's just always available.
Yeah. Did I hear right that he wasn't an actor before it? You just got to know him and now he's an actor?
Well, I met him in college and I don't think he'd given much thought to acting before. And then he had, I was making a short film at the time and then he did some like short comedy sketch or something for college, but it wasn't like, it was just for the course. And I saw him in it and I said, oh, you should be in my short film, by the way, I'm making this short. And then ever since then, we've just made things constantly. But it's actually really interesting because he started off as not that interested in acting, but it's amazing how you see the progression of someone. And he's like, he's a really strong actor now, but it's quite interesting that I think anyone, if they do it enough, they can, intuitively start to get it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they get the bug for it, don't they?
Yeah.
So David Murphy also says, congratulations everyone, loved the use of the red and blue coloured lighting in Harvey's film. It'd be great to hear a thought process behind it. So Harvey, on you go.
Amazing. Thanks very much, David. So basically that was actually one of the basis of where the story for Relay came about. It's like I love playing with light. I just love I don't know if you've seen any of those film noir. It's like a detective sitting in a hazy, smoky room, and you can only see like a New York light piercing through his window, and then like that kind of hazy, kind of light. We started playing about with it, but to get that effect, that was my mum running by a wee cabin at the back with the coloured light on, wee coloured LED. I'm so pleased with how it turned out as well. And later on, that was the same. We had a sort of colour changing LED light sort of rigged up, and my mum was just behind the camera turning that off and on. Again, really pleased that how that turned out. So.
Yeah, it's funny though what you can do when you actually don't have that much money to make a film as well, and like how you just come up with these wee concepts to get the picture across as well. Because I was asked the other day, how is it working with no budget, and I was basically saying you don't miss what you've never had. So like you just work with what you've got and use these wee tools and put your thinking cap on and get to it. Christopher Stewart says Ronnie always brings the best out in Kris's scripts. So there you go, Ronnie. Everybody likes Ronnie all round. Alastair, I was going to ask as well, like what we were talking earlier with Kris and how he found like a note in his car. What made you come up with your concept? What was the start of it, and then where did you go? Did you come up with the ending and work backwards, or was it an argument and then?
It was a kind of random joke that I made to my wife. I can't even remember what the joke was. It was a misunderstanding with the kind of idea of someone finding something or seeing something and making a split-second decision. And obviously, there's a couple of points in the film whereby if he just shut up and listened, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
He's little about to say, "Oh, that's Donna's," and he's obviously straight in. So that kind of the kind of misunderstandings where it came from, and then because it wasn't meant to be. It was never meant to be a short film. So the idea when I started writing it down was Neil, who's the actor. I was doing his showreel, and so I was meant to be writing a 2-page max scene to shoot for a showreel, and then I wrote a 5-page short instead. So he still got the footage for the showreel, but
yeah.
So I also got a film out of it. So yes, it worked out well.
Matthew says, "Who are the panel's biggest filmmaking idols?" I'm just going to go round in order. Then I'll just start with Harvey.
Very interesting. I like loads of different stuff. I think sort of story-wise, big fan of the Coen brothers. So I love the way they tell stories. I love the way they kind of spread it out and have it a bit more character focus, and that's what kind of brings out the story in their films, which is great. I love the styles of like Edgar Wright, Tarantino, a bit of Terry Gilliam, madhap creativeness in there as well. So it's just really good to kind of have so much stuff that you can kind of latch onto and take ideas from and just sort of experiment with as well. So I'd probably say Coen brothers are my go-to guys and idols in the industry.
It's funny you saying that, because obviously the film we've just watched is a one character piece basically, for most of it, and then one of your biggest idols is like all about different characters interacting and stuff like that. So, but again, it's a film I'm taking that you did in lockdown, so there's probably only going to be one character because that's what we can do. Kris, what about yourself?
I guess. Well, I mean, hi Matthew. Matthew was actually the cinematographer on The Scratch, and he did such a great job. But I was gonna say my biggest filmmaking idols would probably be, I love Hitchcock, obviously, because I love suspense and stuff like that. But I think he's such a good example of how you can make a sort of genre film and have a lot of suspense and set pieces, but you can still always have really rich themes and character stories and things like that. I love William Friedkin. I think William Friedkin's a genius. I think obviously The Exorcist and things like that, but like French Connection, and there's a sort of rugged energy to his films that is just really great. Other than that, I mean, just kind of like the usuals, like a lot of horror filmmakers and stuff like that, and like John Carpenter and Romero and all those guys, especially because you can see, if you're just coming up as a filmmaker, you can see how those guys made things on such a small budget and try and emulate their sort of run and gun style. You know what I mean? Which is also really comparable, I think, to someone like Edgar Wright. Like Harvey was saying, I think every up-and-coming filmmaker feels a relatability to someone like Edgar Wright or John Carpenter or someone like that. So definitely them, I would think, yeah.
And just speaking about cinematography as well, I did love when the camera was on the young guy's point of view, and it just kind of comes down onto Ronnie. And he's just staring right down the lens. I think it worked perfectly. So well done on that.
Oh, thanks very much. Actually, I was going to say about Alastair's film that I love characters looking directly into the camera.
Yep.
I just love it. Again, that's like you see Hitchcock doing that an awful lot, and I just always like rip him off. But I think it works really beautifully in Alastair's film because it's really interesting to see it in quite an intimate drama, and it makes you feel like you're between these two people. Yeah, it works really well.
I love it in Silence of the Lambs as well with Clarice and
that's like probably the best use of it ever, I would say.
Ronnie says Matthew's cinematography really helped The Scratch, real nose for the details. So yeah, there's another one. Well done. Mm-hmm. And Alastair, don't worry, I didn't forget. Who's your idols?
Trying to think, I would probably say my two things I like about films are kind of dark themes. I kind of tend to kind of write kind of dark twisted things and also twists as well. So probably kind of David Fincher and like M. Night Shyamalan, or so that's how you pronounce it, I can never remember. And then you just like the kind of normal, so like Scorsese and Spielberg and Hitchcock and stuff like that. So I think everybody, writing wise, probably Aaron Sorkin. I'd like to kind of write a big meaty feature, which I'm in the middle of at the moment. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think there's only certain people, isn't there, that can write like him and Tarantino. You know, I think it takes like a good ear to get that across. So I think I had a question, Kris, as well. I love the contrast in the kitchen sizes to show like the difference in money as well as obviously the car. How hard was it to get those locations?
It wasn't too hard, because I think you can always just ask around, you know, and I think when you start just making films, you really, you know, I think you very quickly learn that a no is free, you know, and I think we all kind of know that, and you just need to be shameless about asking everyone, like, oh, could we use this? Could we use that? You know, like the hardest thing I've ever tried to get was, I made a short film called Crackpot, and there's a huge mansion in that, and I just wrote it into the script, never thinking, oh, like we won't make it. And then we got to make it, and then suddenly you're in a position where it's like, oh no, we need to find a big mansion. But then, you know, if you ask around, you usually tend to find, I in my experience, you usually tend to find that people are pretty willing to help out. You know, I mean, people like, you know, helping short films and stuff like that.
Especially if it's someone in the like local community as well, like they're eager to see people do well, I think. So
totally, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's good. Good. Harvey, I was just listening to some of the voiceover in it there. Who was it that did your voiceover? Like, well, whose voice is it, and how did you go about getting the effects on the first voice, which like that broadcast?
So that was my good friends David and Eden, who we've done loads of work with, especially through lockdown. So we've done loads of things like you know, sort of filming ourselves and putting it together for a wee short film. So it was really good to have them on board. The sort of idea came behind it was I kind of wanted to get people, you know, involved remotely, but maybe not necessarily, you know, filming themselves through Zoom or, you know, something like that. Kind of think of something a bit different. So the idea of the radio kind of came about. And for David, who did the news announcer, to get that effect, I was really kind of old-fashioned way. So I recorded it through like several different things. So rather than putting, you know, an effect in post, I basically like played it on a device, recorded that, and then played that back, recorded it to kind of get that really kind of tinny effect as well. So it was really good to kind of work with them remotely as well. It was, you know, great to kind of see. That was the whole kind of point of the film as well, was to kind of, as well, you were talking about isolation earlier, to kind of show you can still bring people together, especially now more than ever, in different ways. So that was good to have them.
And I think there's something about like obviously film is a very visual medium, and but I think there's something so interesting about hearing a radio on film and TV. I just think there's something really nice about it. Alastair, you spoke about how Neil became involved in the project. It was about doing a showreel, but what about Claire? How did that come about?
Well, I know Claire from Scottish Screenwriters, which obviously you go to as well. So we kind of got together and we talked about working with each other. So just when I was writing the script, again, it was for Neil's showreel still at this point. So the character was named Claire because I thought I would ask Claire to do it, and then when I finished it, I passed it on to her and she said yes. So
well, that's good. So
simple as that.
So there wasn't any like audition process. You just kind of knew who.
No, I just obviously I was writing it for Neil originally, so it was always going to be him unless he didn't like it. And yeah, just I mean, probably for what it was, I probably wouldn't have done an audition just because it's quite short. So if Claire had passed on it, I would have probably asked one of my other kind of actress friends if they were interested. I think it was a nice dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, they worked well, bouncing off each other. Yeah,
and I was laughing recently because I've been moving things on hard drives, and I've got a file which is basically all the slaps, in a row. There's about 16 of them.
Nice. Well, that was one of my questions.
And they're all real. So I felt sorry. I was talking to one of the crew the other day about it, and it never occurred to me to do like a stage slap.
Mm-hmm.
I never even thought about it. I just got them hit a lot of times. So.
Well, if they're willing to suffer for their art, then you may as well.
Yeah. At one point, he did have to take a bit of frozen fish out of the freezer and stick it against his cheek because it was getting a bit sore. So.
Next one was Kris. Obviously, this can actually go to all of you, but you obviously, Kris, you do quite a lot of comedy, and I'm guessing when you usually show your films, it'd be in front of like an audience, at something like Flickr, and you hear how much the audience is enjoying it through laughter. How was it over a live stream where everything is silent? And I guess that question can go to Harvey and Alastair as well. How is it watching it, not knowing the audience reaction?
I hate it. I hate it. I like to hear. When I make something, I actively make it thinking, oh, and the audience will react at this point, and then at this point they'll laugh at that point, they should gasp at that point, whatever. I want an audience to react, and so it's kind of annoying as well. But I'm kind of used to it because when I was doing, I would do a lot of comedy for BBC sketches and stuff, and then they would just go onto their social media pages and things like that. And it's really good and it's fun, but you don't really know if you're doing anything right or wrong because you're not actually getting a live reaction. And whenever people are watching something on their phone or just in front of a laptop, they're usually just kind of like, that's good. But if you're actually in an audience, I mean, we all know it becomes like a social thing, and everyone's emotions become amplified, and everyone becomes more exaggerated, and that's where the fun is. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, that's true of every film at any scale at the moment. So,
Yeah. It's funny as well because one of my shorts, I remember writing a line and I was like, oh, this will really hit the audience well with this line. And I remember watching it. Every screening I've went to, this line's come up and it's just kind of fell flat. There's just no reaction. And it's just funny how easily you can get it wrong. And then maybe 3 or 4 lines of dialogue later, the audience laugh, and you're like, that wasn't the line you were meant to laugh at.
Totally.
But I'll take it. Harvey, how about you?
No, I think big kudos to you guys. I think it's really difficult to write comedy. I think comedy way harder than drama, and I think it's commendable. Anybody that can pull that off. So I completely get that live reaction, and it's the same for, we all know ourselves. If you're in the picture house or you're at something, you're more likely to engage with it. But you're sitting yourself, you're in your brain, you're like, oh, that was funny, but there's nothing nothing comes out. So for me, the whole kind of thing I want to get across is telling a story to people, and the whole point of it is to share it with other folk and get them to feed back to you. So it's great that we do have. I mean, if we never had this technology, there'd be nothing in lockdowns, you know what I mean? So it's great that we do have it, and we can get people commenting and stuff. But it's always, something a bit more special when you can show people something that feels a bit more tangible, really. And like you said, Gary, it's really good to kind of check your work as well, so you can kind of evaluate that. So oh, I didn't laugh at this line, they laughed at this one, so next time I can focus on that kind of humor, or this kind of suspense worked a bit better. So I think it's a good way kind of checking yourself and just improving, really. And it's great fun. Like Kris, you were saying, it's a social thing, isn't it, at the end of the day? So it makes a difference, and it'll feel great when we can get back to it properly, I think.
Yeah. And Alastair?
Yeah, I'm the same kind of thing. It's nice to just watch films, but when it's in a vacuum and you're not really getting a response, it's not great. Obviously, comedy's more obvious when you're with an audience because they'll laugh. Although I think probably the slap might get a reaction if people are watching it live. And I've been in a situation with yourself where you've written something that I can't remember now which film it was, but there was a film where I'd written what I thought was a funny line, which I think people would have laughed at, but there was a line that I did not think was funny at all that people thought was funny and were laughing so hard the line wasn't really heard because they were laughing at the line before. So
I can't remember who it was, but somebody was telling me they released a feature film and they went to a foreign screening of it, and obviously there's been a translation, but whatever the translation was, it wasn't a true translation. So there was parts of his film where he knew what the line was, and it wasn't funny, but the audience were laughing, and he just sat there wondering what exactly they changed it to, because one word can make a difference, you know, or the tone or whatever. So.
Oh, totally. But do you not even find that it's like with films, especially, it's just like the actors and everything can affect how funny a line is. But then it's even things like the type of lens you use, the shot you use, the edit, every single thing can affect the transmission of the joke to the audience. It's really weird. And I think I totally, I've been there where, you know, you think you've done like a really funny bit or a line or something, and it just dies. Just dies. But it's amazing because it's like it teaches you that just because everyone's having a great time on set doesn't necessarily, you know, it's about making the audience have a great time, you know, because it's always, that was the funniest thing ever. And then you show it to an audience and they don't agree.
Yeah, and it's funny because they say you'd make three different films. You make this the one when you write it, the one when you shoot it, then the one when you edit it. And I think that is so true. Okay, we've got a few questions. I'm going to just try and put them together and ask it. So Ronnie says, what can we expect next from everyone? And Rob Duncan also asks, if all three of you are writers and directors, would you direct someone else's script or words or what? So Harvey, you can go first and just kind of answer the two of them together, I guess.
Brilliant. So I'll go for Ronnie's first of all. So actually doing a follow-up to Relay, the kind of idea behind it was it would be a kind of shared universe type thing. So I'm really excited to get just started to get the ball rolling on that yesterday. This showing kind of inspired me. I was like, nah, I need to do more stuff. So that'll just be another wee lockdown feature. I've got some good guys on board and got some more people to speak to maybe get them back on board and get that in the ball rolling. Also got, unfortunately, we're working on a film, and this kind of ties into Rob's question as well. For me, it's more the merrier, to be honest, on a team. I've never done someone else's script, but I have done. I was working on a film with my good friend Rory, and he came to me with the story and the treatment basically. We did kind of co-write it as well, but I'd love to do that. You know, just help out with other people. Unfortunately, due to like the kind of nature of the film, we've had to kind of postpone it. But now that we're kind of seeing in the future a wee bit of light at the end of the tunnel, we've got a bigger feature or a bigger short, I should say, scheduled in for end of July. So really looking forward to get that done, get the script written for that. So it's really good. So I've got a couple of things over the next few years. Quite enjoying just doing wee bits and bobs at home in lockdown just now. But you know, it's great. I think it's great working with other people, and I love it when, you know, people come to me with different ideas, and I love going to other people with different ideas as well. So I'd definitely be on board for picking up someone else's script and working with them. I think that'd be great.
Cool. And Alastair?
Yeah, well, I'm a writer director, but yeah, I'd happily write anybody else's or direct anybody else's stuff if they wanted to give me the opportunity. Just never come up, but yeah, I would give it a go. Certainly, hopefully they wouldn't be disappointed. In terms of what next, I've got a couple of scripts basically finished and ready to go. So once I decide that things are back to some sort of normality, hopefully can I get crew and cast them and see if I can get something made. Although I've kind of said I probably won't do anything apart from maybe the 48-hour this year, maybe wait until next year. But we'll see. And I'm writing a feature at the moment, so.
Well, best of luck with it. Best of luck. And you heard it here first. If anybody's got any scripts, then fire them over to Alastair. And Kris.
Yeah, totally. I would direct someone else's script. I would also write for someone else to direct. But I don't know. I think it's such a weird thing that if you are a writer director, I think a lot of people are writer directors by necessity to begin with, and then you gradually become a little, I don't want to say precious, but you begin to sort of know what you like and how you would do something and stuff like that. And I think I would definitely do someone else's script, but I'm just always worried that I would that I would really screw it up. You know what I mean? Or because even if I got someone else's script, you know, you want to change certain things, or you would want to have a collaboration with the writer to, you know, alter it in any way that you'd want and stuff like that. And as long as it was a pretty collaborative process like that, and they weren't like, you're destroying the script, you know, you have to stick to the script, then yeah, definitely. But that's never, I've never been asked.
Yeah. No,
Nobody trusts me to direct their stuff.
I have done 2, and one the writer was happy with, and I wasn't that happy with it. And then the second one, it never even got finished, so I don't know what that says. So I don't know. Is
it my film, Gary, that you weren't happy with, or is it another one? Have you forgotten about mine?
I think I forgot about yours, but thanks for putting me on the spot. We'll discuss that later. But I'm so easy with my script. Like if actors want to just remove a line or change a line, as long as the actor that they're acting opposite can still come in with their line of dialogue, then I'm quite relaxed with it. And I don't know how that would be with someone else. I'll ask Alastair later. But yeah, I've just got 2 more questions each for you. Harvey, one for yourself is see the voiceover at the end, was that influenced at all by Winston Churchill's one, because it was so well spoken and it felt like it was speaking to a wide audience? If you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I think it's maybe more subconscious than anything. That's all we're hearing right now is world leaders speaking to us constantly. So I think it was definitely a kind of product at the time. I didn't really listen to it for a particular source, but I just felt that was something that was so regular. Like you're sitting having your dinner and there's First Minister's standing there telling you, "Oh, the world's ending." Do you know what I mean? It's quite surreal, and I can imagine, while it's maybe not as difficult as a world war or as scary, it's still really terrifying. Just to have that, presence there constantly. You feel like someone's emergency broadcast system almost type thing. So I definitely was kind of inspired by that kind of political level of looking over the entire disaster basically and try to we've done it basically. So maybe hopefully we'll be hearing that speech soon. It's all over, but just wait and see.
And my other quick question for you is, will you keep working with this? This might be, you're on a live broadcast, so you need to watch how you say it, but obviously you've got a relationship with this producer. Will you keep working with them, or will you try and work with other producers? How's that going to work for future productions?
No, definitely. So Jodie and I do a lot together. The script I was mentioning about doing in July, we're working really close on that, but we're also working with external producer Zoheb as well, who's really great to work with. So no, we love working together, and we're both kind of at the stage where we're wanting to develop our careers, and that's sort of over a lot of different parts of the industry, such as acting. We both do acting as well. Writing and producing, so it's kind of good that we can the two of us can kind of get involved in loads of different aspects of the film. But no, we're up for working with other people as well, and I think we're the same. It's kind of more the merrier type thing, because there will be a point where if anybody does make it big, you lose so much creative control of a project. Right now it's really special to be able to work with people, especially close pals and that. And that's something that you won't always have. So I think it's just kind of important to remember, the kind of freedoms and that you can create art as you really want to right now. And it's great experiencing that with other people. So looking forward to, all the projects we've got in the pipeline and other ones we've got going as well.
Cool. Nice. And Alastair, 2 questions for you that I'll put together, and that is, obviously it is Claire who reveals that it's a positive pregnancy test, and were you hoping to get a close-up of that, then found that it was obviously there's certain restraints on how to get a positive on a pregnancy test? And
yeah, I'll let you ask the second one.
And just the second one was, and as a male, how was it writing something circulating a pregnancy?
In terms of the close-up, no, I can't remember, to be honest, because it was a wee while ago, what we thought. I don't think I'd ever really considered a close-up. And yeah, I think in fact I would almost say that it's facing down, just so that there was getting the angles was kind of, my kitchen's quite tight. That's where we filmed, so it wasn't the easiest place to film. I think trying to do I think in fact, tell a lie, I think we might have tried to film it and it just didn't work, so we just quickly abandoned it. In terms of writing a pregnancy story, I had no issue with it at all. I just the idea came and I just kind of wrote it. One of the scripts that I've written that's getting ready to film. Again, I didn't really find it difficult to write, but might be more contentious because it's about kind of pregnancy and abortion and stuff like that. So, although it's not making any claims to know what the right thing is. So, yeah. But I'm looking forward to trying to get that done soon. So,
cool. And for Kris, it looked like there's a lot of natural lighting used on your film, except for lighting the wife, or not lighting the wife, shall I say, at the top of the stairs. Do you want to just talk a bit about the lighting in general? And also, could we flag up David O'Gray's comment that saying that Kris has been forgetful?
Can I add in with were you the mother, or were you the wife, Kris? Because I had a feeling it might be you, but I might be totally wrong.
Okay. Yes, thank you, David. Yes, I did actually co-direct with David, Chris McQueer's Hings, and that was for like BBC iPlayer, and that was actually because he wrote the scripts, and that was actually a really good experience because it was about compromise and stuff like that. So you kind of learn to compromise what you want to do to like suit someone else's stuff, and that was actually a really cool one because we were essentially like a director for hire on that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you could still have like certain creative control over what you wanted to do, but they were still like really, because that was like the first thing we've ever done that was like a proper professional production, and it was so stressful. And it was things like if you wanted a close up of a clock, you would say, let's get that close up, and your first AD would literally say, oh, I don't know if we'll have time for that. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, because like legally you can't even film after a certain time. There were all these restrictions in place. Thankfully we managed to get it. But it really goes back to what Harvey was saying. It really makes you realize just how much, certainly I take for granted, the freedom of filming when you're just sort of by yourself and, you've got like your own team and stuff like that. So all that stuff is great. But no, that was actually really good directing those scripts. The lighting and the scratch, yeah, I just quite like a lot of natural lighting. But at the same time, I really like ridiculous, almost sort of like highly stylized horror lighting. I love underlighting people and things like that. But it was just about contrast, with the first 3/4 of that movie, you just want to make the audience feel like this is a drama. You just want them to think, oh, this is just a really benign sort of drama about this guy and he goes to visit this old man. And then you only kind of like whip out your highly stylized lighting and everything in the last 2 seconds, So, and lighting the woman was really hard because in my head I had this image of, oh, she'll be beautifully backlit, but of course there's no window behind her and stuff like that. So we just had to like get all these lights as far away from her as possible. It was quite difficult, but it's not me as the wife. It's who was it? I'm sure it was Ronnie himself. I'm sure there was so little people because we shot it during last year when lockdown was eased, like in the later part of the summer. I kind of thought we should take this opportunity to try and shoot something, and we'll make it as minimal as possible. Just 2 actors, that's it. And yeah, there were so little people. We literally just got Ronnie in a wig, and I said, "Well, you'll be dark anyway. No one will tell."
Well, nobody did. Nobody did.
Yeah, exactly. So he's looking at himself as an old woman.
Yeah. Nice. Just before we finish up, do any of you have a question for each other? Or are you all exhausted?
I've got a quick one for Alastair. So I loved we were speaking about this a wee bit earlier. Was like the kind of POV. It kind of reminded me of like Peep Show, the way you'd done it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a still. You could really, it was like really like someone's vision. And I liked the way that you kind of cut their conversations between it. Did you kind of get them to do like a whole run through of their part of the script, just filming them, or did you do like individual bits?
We didn't do a full thing. We knew what we were getting, but I think we did it in chunks. So we did do a fair bit, but I don't think we did like from start to finish. But we did a big load of it, and that was the way we wanted it to be, as if the camera was the other person. But in fact, I'm sure because Claire's a bit shorter, Barry, the DOP, was having to crouch down because there was not a lot of space behind her seat. But yeah, I think I like how it turned out that way, because I wasn't quite sure how. I think it makes it slightly more interesting than if I just stuck it on had it stuck on a tripod. But I'll be honest, Gary thinks I shouldn't be able to answer this question at Flicker when it's screened there. It wasn't my idea, it was my DOP Barry Gunning's idea. So I have to thank him for that, because he was like, that'll make more sense. And it works, it's not too shaky, it's just...
I mean, I don't think I said don't be honest. I don't think I said don't be honest.
Yeah, I think you said I wouldn't have said that. Or you would have just taken the credit for yourself.
I don't think I said that either. I think the DOP deserves as much credit as anyone. Is there any questions? Or?
Yeah, I had a quick question for Harvey, actually. I really liked the film, and I wondered about the sound design, because the sound design was just really great and it was really rich. And I personally always kind of struggle with sound design, and sort of I could never be a sound designer. It would be terrible at that. But even just like during your film, I was kind of thinking, that's so specific and it's so well done. I kind of wondered, do you plan the sound design? Do you actually think about what the sound design is going to be, or even put it into your screenplay? Or do you do just basically what I do, and then you get to the edit and you think, okay, I'll do this here and I'll do that there?
That's actually really cool, and I struggle with it as well. This was a kind of big challenge to get the sound across. I think because I didn't really want it to be a film in me like speaking, doing all the lines, things like that. I'm just in it for kind of like necessity just now. But I think I do is always kind of picture sounds. Because I've done films before, and I kind of had a bit of feedback on a particular short film I did that it was really quiet. And then I watched it back and I was like, do you know what, that actually is really quiet. So now I just kind of picture everything, the kind of environment people are in, what kind of sounds would be there. And it was quite good with this shot, really, to play about with the sounds, because there's so much stuff happening, like you can play any sound basically in the background as well. So I think, now I kind of consider sound like a bigger part of it. For me anyway, is like when I'm picturing a scene, like the first thing I kind of picture is the characters within it and like what's happening around them basically. I think it kind of adds a different layer to it. But I really struggled with it up until this point. So I'm really pleased that you enjoyed that, which is quite cool. But it's difficult, especially.
It came out really well.
Yeah, especially if you're not like a sound person. It's really difficult to get across. I think especially sound and dialogue's really important, because if the shot's not great, fair enough, but if it sounds terrible, it's never going to work. So it's really tricky to get it used to it. But once you do it, and there's experts out there as well that you can tap into too. So it's good stuff. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I just want to thank the three of you for showing your film off and taking the time out to talk about them. I hope it's been quite beneficial just to talk to other filmmakers and remember that it's not just you out there trying to make stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. Aye. Not as nerve-wracking
much,
as I was expecting, so thank you.
Yeah.
I'd also like to thank Fiona, who has dealt with all the tech, even though the people listening and watching hasn't even seen her, but thank you very much. Can we also just give a round of applause for Fans Youth Film Festival, who's basically put this event together, and I've just come on and hosted it. So if you want their social media channels, you can follow and share and see what they're doing. I'd like to thank everybody as well who's put some questions in and got some interaction going online, so thanks for that as well. And I guess that's it. We are hoping as restrictions come down, we can actually have a live flicker again in GMAC's screening room. For those of you who have been there before, we know that we can usually pack up to 90 people in there, and it can get a bit uncomfortable, but it's actually just still a great atmosphere. So we can't wait to have you all back and to be showing some films on the big screen. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, man. See you later.
Thank you.